Hello and welcome to the Arsenal BiteSize Podcast. We're back with Clayton from holiday, so it's both of us here today. I'm of course at FPL Nima on Twitter and at Clates AFC as well on Twitter if you're looking for us. We're here to look at a disappointing loss to Fulham on the weekend. It can only be described as perhaps one of our worst performances of the season. And yeah, I guess we're going to also have a little pit stop and look at where we're at around halfway in the season compared to our season expectations that we laid out before game week 1, and maybe have a small brief chat about the Liverpool game in the FA Cup this Sunday. But to timestamp it, we're here on Friday, 5th of Jan, 2 days before the Liverpool game. And yeah, nice to have you back, Clayton. Hope you enjoyed your trip over the holidays and feeling rejuvenated. Welcome back, buddy.
Yeah, cheers. Happy New Year, everyone. It's it's a crap game to come straight back into. So you're gonna have to lead this one quite a lot because I've not seen anything. I've seen the highlights, but where I was away, I couldn't catch the West Ham game and I couldn't catch this one. So I've been relying on Twitter to form opinions and stuff, but I've got my own opinions of holistically where I think we're at and stuff, which I think we'll probably get into. But in the actual games, so it'll be good to get your opinion on this. And I didn't get a chance to catch your episode with Aaron or Hassan either, but the West Ham game to me sounded like we were fine with the way we played, but when we got into the final third, it looked like we were void of ideas. And there was a lot of pot shots and stuff, and we didn't really put the ball in the back of the net. Very scientific analysis there. And then same thing on the other end, it sounds like they just were clinical. There was a bit of controversy and stuff, but it more sounded like to me West Ham wasn't as concerning with the performance, whereas Fulham was we went 1-0 up and then what happened? But what's your take on the game?
Yeah, I think it's weird, isn't it? Because we came from a situation where we obviously the draw at Anfield, it felt quite good. We knew going into West Ham, we can go top of the table and stuff. It all felt good, right? Like we were top on Christmas Day and then suddenly we're fourth by New Year's. So a lot kind of went wrong very quickly and it started to unravel. But I think we forget that before these two losses and the draw with Liverpool, we also beat Brighton and we thought it was one of our best performances of the season. And we stopped them from scoring a goal in the game for the first time in 30 games for them. So we kept a clean sheet against a very good attacking Brighton. We'd bounced back from the other defeat against Villa. So, but when I then look at the last 5, if you kind of actually look at the form and forget the sentiment along those fixtures, it's 1 win in 5. And suddenly you're like, wait a second. When you zoom out, it doesn't look great. Equally, I know there's always weird results at this time of year. So what I would say for what it's worth is I'm more annoyed about the West Ham game than the Fulham game.
Okay.
Because I feel like there are odd games where there's a blip and you lose. And Fulham, we were outplayed. I don't think we deserve to win. West Ham, the games where you feel like you dominated and should have won and still lose them, that's what bothers me and hurts me the most. Because with the West Ham game, throughout, I felt that we can win. We're totally dominating. And I think that's where it comes back to what you said about we were kind of not clinical with the shots. Arteta said it. He said, we need to be better in both boxes, whether it's defending the few chances the opponent gets versus us actually taking the chances we get. But it feels like right now in both boxes, we are suffering. And we're basically losing the game in those fine margins in both boxes. So we're not defending as well in our box and we're not attacking as well as in the opponent's box. And I think that was something we saw in West Ham, but we still felt like we should have won on paper. You go into Fulham and it's like, oh, damn, okay, this is fully derailing now. And you're hearing calls of people saying Arteta out. So I think that's a bit rash, but that's where we've ended up in, right? It's very quickly U-turned.
And that's what, so for me, where I was in India and the Arab Emirates, and I didn't have any internet signal or anything. I was just relying on Wi-Fi sporadically when I got it. So I was quite detached from social media. So I saw the results. And I had my opinions. I was okay, they're crap results. It's obviously not great in the context of a title race. But then when I eventually got connection and checked Twitter and I saw people questioning Arteta and this, I was like, whoa,
It's like they've been waiting there the whole time almost, I would argue.
Yeah, but that's why it'd be good to kind of later on just talk about where we're at because you You said something earlier that I kind of agreed with, but I forgot what it was. But it'll come back to me. But yeah, in the meantime, should we go into the actual Fulham
Yeah,
game?
let's go to the Fulham game itself. I think that was a nice, just general overview. That obviously it's been a very disappointing festive period. I feel the breaks come at a great time. I know there's going to be cup games like this weekend, but overall, there's kind of a nice little break. Hopefully, no replay with Liverpool. Think they're going to go for warm weather training in Dubai. Partey didn't get called up for AFCON, so his injury sounds
Yeah,
like it's going to take longer than we thought. But all in all, I feel like, March, April, May, they're the important months. And, I take this blip now and being 5 points behind now.
yeah.
5 points is just a random win and a draw in the future could be enough to suddenly come back, right? But we'll talk
Yeah,
about at the end of the show. I think when we talk about Liverpool, we'll talk about what we think of Liverpool and City and
sure.
have the title odds changed. But Fulham specifically, I guess,
So do you want to
we
go
went
into the
ahead
lineup?
early, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, should
well,
we do
on
lineup
the
first? Actually, yeah,
so
let's do
so
lineup
what
first.
was your you would have obviously been seeing it live and everything. What was your thoughts when you saw the lineup come out? Kiwior was in at left back.
Yeah, I wasn't kind of surprised by that, I guess, because I didn't realize Zinchenko also had some kind of knock, some kind of calf strain, they said, I think.
Yeah,
And then to then see Nketiah lead the line, I wasn't really quite expecting that either. I think it's just rest related at this time of the season, like a lot of teams playing every 2, 3 days of resting people. But I still didn't feel worried. Like
yeah,
I do feel that kind of getting Kiwior to play the exact Zinchenko role maybe isn't ideal considering his skill set. Like I know he was brought in as more of a centre back. He's played spells as like a central defensive midfielder for his club. Like we've been trying to teach him left back, but I almost wonder like if that's not his strength. And I think you've said this before. Like we're kind of taking players and like when we had Havertz trying to get him to play the Xhaka way, or Kiwior to play the
yeah.
Zinchenko way, or Eddie to play the Jesus way. Like everyone at Trossard to play the Martinelli way, and like those players, why do we not
They're
try
just
to like
different.
adjust to
Yeah,
their strengths? Like why do we not change our? And I think that's what frustrated me because it felt like we actually lost the subs in this game as well. So like the subs made us worse. Like we went
right.
into
Okay.
like a back three. We had like wing back system with like
Oh wow,
Saka
really?
and Trossard. Like no one was overlapping with Saka because we had a back three, so the first centre back couldn't go forward. So when we did make the subs, we left like the two strikers on. Like it was all just.
A
It
bit of
looked
a
like we were
mess.
bereft of ideas, and I don't believe we had a shot, or I don't think we had a penalty area touch or a shot on target from like the 65th minute when we were down to like the 95th minute or something.
Bloody hell.
So, like we're chasing the game, we're playing some formation that ended up being quite dysfunctional for us all in all. Um, and yeah, I was just like, damn, okay, I think maybe this is where a lot of the outrage you're seeing on social media is coming from. It just felt like they were like almost pre-planned subs that were like
Right.
decided that, at 70 minutes, Martinelli for Trossard. Like it's like
To
those,
be
those standard subs.
to be fair, they might have been because like it was when you said about the one win in five, and I was like, damn, I didn't quite put two and two together on that. And I just went back and had a look, and from the 2nd of December, we played one. Oh, I've just clicked on the wrong thing. We played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 games in the calendar month of
That's a
December.
lot.
Yeah, so I reckon like this reset could not have come at a better time in my opinion. So in the summer we all spoke about like we wanted to go from having like a core group of players or like 12, 13 to 17 or whatever. Like I
Mm.
still think it's light, and I think this group has been stretched this month, and I just think they're knackered. Like I don't want
I
to
think
make
that's what's
excuses, but
upsetting, right? So I think we thought we would get to 17, 18 players, but I'm not convinced we have that many more than the 13 we had last year. So I
no.
still think we have like the 11 plus Trossard as the first sub, plus one
I've
of like the fullbacks if they're fit, like Tomiyasu, Timber,
To be fair,
Zinchenko.
yeah, I do think like Timber and Party being out for substantial periods has changed a lot because I think that even though that's only two players, I think that unlocks a lot of multiple systems that
It
we
has.
could.
But then I look at the rest of the depth, right? So Jorginho, you could say he could be useful at certain times. And like, he did okay when we called on him as a captaincy figure. But when you look at the players we kept, the academy kids, the ones we didn't want to leave for free to protect their resale value, and I think it was the Vision guys who were saying this, and it was just like they're like, well, look, like we've had bids for these players in the past and we didn't take them, like with
Yeah,
Maitland-Niles. And like, are we now just going to basically be selling them because, academy is pure profit from an
yeah,
FFP point of view? So is it that like we're now hearing that we can't get anyone, and the only way we can get anyone is through selling? So
yeah,
like, who are the ones we're going to be selling? What is it? The likes of Nelson, Eddie, Smith Rowe? So then part of me
probably.
asks, like, by keeping them and protecting their value,
Have we
have we
shot
not just
ourselves in the
basically
foot?
taken up 3 spots in the squad and like not bought players we would have otherwise bought had they gone for free? So have we actually ended up, because these are players he doesn't trust? That's all I can think. Because when will Nelson start? I don't think he started a game for 3 years.
Yeah,
So it's like, how are
yeah,
you keeping these players on 100k and what, you don't start them for 3 years? Like, no one starts ahead of Saka ever. Like, no one can do what Martinelli does. Like, Eddie played instead of Jesus. It wasn't convincing. Like, no one's convinced. So I think that's also quite frustrating, knowing that it felt like such a great idea to keep them and protect the value of these academy players. But if the manager has zero trust in ever starting them in a period where we just played 8 games in a month, like you say, then when will he trust playing them?
yeah.
So I hope things change. I hope Smith Rowe does something and doesn't get sold. But it's starting to feel like the only way to get any other assets is through selling.
And
It's
that's
not the
probably what will
position we
happen,
wanted
to
to
be
be in.
fair.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
and
it will
obviously,
happen,
if
but who's going to buy them? That's the other question.
well,
Like,
and
are
that's
you
the
going to
thing.
buy
Like some,
players who don't start, who have high wages?
yeah, and some of the fees I see on Twitter are so inflated. Like, you can tell people just play too much FIFA. Like, I think people need to knock like a good 10, 15 million off their valuations in their head of what they think we're going to
I
get
saw
for these
people
players.
thought that we're going to get, I think it was
Like
for
40.
Nelson. They thought we are going to get 40 million for
I
Nelson. And I'm
saw that.
like,
I was like,
they're
where's
like,
that
yeah,
come
but
from?
look at how much Palmer went for. And I'm like, bro, like, Palmer bagged a goal against Arsenal in the Community Shield. Like, Palmer bagged in the Champions League. Like, Palmer's now leading the entire Chelsea attack as a child. Like, I
Yeah,
don't think they're the same level of player. Like, I know I'd like to have my red tinted glasses on and think that our academy players are the best, but Nelson's like 23, 24 now, bro. Like, he's coming into his prime. Like,
yeah, literally. But yeah,
oh,
well,
but yeah, it's painful, man. So I think that upset me seeing this lineup, because it made me realize that there isn't an 18-man squad. Because
no.
as soon as we needed some rest, when Eddie and Kivio came in, I was like, no, this is nowhere near the 11 we normally have.
Yeah, I do really think we've been quite unlucky with injuries though. Like even Tomiyasu being out for this stretch. Like I think certain games like Villa, Liverpool, like
Oh, so he
Tomiyasu
subbed
wouldn't have
on
started.
for a half and then goes to the Asian Cup, right?
Yeah, but like I think people don't realize like the domino effect of these things. Like if Tomiyasu
Mm,
plays at Villa and Liverpool, then like Zinchenko would have been fine for like a couple of lower profile games, and like everyone's fresher because you're rotating to maximize people's strengths against certain opposition, right? And that's what I'm saying about like
mm.
Timber and Party as well. I think it's the knock-on domino effect it has on everyone else. So I think like just those three of Timber, Party, and Tomiyasu not being available for December, I think that's been a huge issue that I think we're probably not really focusing on too much. But yeah, but on the actual performance, yeah, that's on us. Like, but the squad, the match day squad that was available to play Fulham should have done better than what I've heard they did. So do you want to talk through how you feel the game went?
Yeah, so I think the beginning it felt like great. Like, here we are, like, Martinelli, it was like I hadn't seen that side of him for a while. He just, for once it looked like he was on top of it. Every time he got a chance to run into space, he was like making fantastic attacks into their box.
Okay.
Took a really lovely shot. It got parried by their keeper, by Leno, and Saka just was in the right place at the right time. And it was like a poacher's type goal. Like, the kind of player that we don't think we have in our squad. Like, he was like basically doing like the proper poacher job there.
Yeah.
And
So
so it
can
was
I
one of
ask?
those where you don't even know if he knows he scored. Like,
Yeah,
I could see his reaction. He was like watching it, like, to see if it's even going in.
I saw the highlights and yeah, I saw that, and then also I could see, I think it was like Declan Rice asking, "Were you on?" And he was like, "I'm not sure." But can I just ask? So on the graphic we've got on the screen from Mark stat spot, right? Like, you can see the XG for the goal just shoots up because he was basically on the goal line, and then it just flatlines pretty much until Fulham score. So like, what? How did we play after we scored?
Yeah, so after we scored, like, Fulham just looked like a better team. They were like
Right.
creating chances. They were playing through our press. They were just winning the ball, the winning position. Like they were like playing really well. I was like, what the fuck's going on here? And I know they'd been missing a few players recently. So in the preview, when I spoke with Aaron, we talked about how, like, obviously Jimenez had been suspended, Willian had been injured, but all of these guys were back.
Right.
And they just looked like a kind of well-drilled team that came to do what they had to do, and they weren't really scared of us. Yeah, like it was pretty embarrassing, I would say. Like I honestly felt like they just like when I watched it after our goal, I don't recall maybe more than one other incident that I even think I felt like, oh wow, like we might score again.
Really? Wow.
Like every single corner we took was crap. Every single one was crap. Like everything was just going badly for us. That's how it felt for me.
Did you get the vibe that it was more of a we're 1-0 up, they're potentially mentally, physically shattered. They just wanted to stroll to a 1-0, go away, reset, or was it literally like they were just shit and Fulham were better?
It's tough. I think they were knackered. I would, yeah, I think they were knackered more than anything. But equally, I just think Fulham saw that opportunity and just took it with two hands.
Yeah.
Like they didn't let the first goal phase them. They could have easily been like, "Oh damn!" But they saw
Yeah.
that we were kind of just sitting back and we weren't very. I think one thing I noticed, right? I then watched the Liverpool games,
Okay.
and I felt the speed at which they get the ball up the pitch.
Mm-hmm.
Like I didn't see Salah get doubled up on the entire game against Newcastle.
Because they don't
Not
have
once.
time to get
They
into.
don't have time to get the second guy there. Yeah. Whereas what
Yeah.
I noticed is that something that we've been doing, and I've been calling it control, is to an extent we've maybe controlled possession, sure, but I don't think we control chances in this game because we start to become predictable. Like
Mm.
we're just really slowly getting the ball up to Saka, and then he's got 2, 3 guys on him, and then we try to get it to Martinelli, and then we just go back from side to side. And
Well, that's, in my opinion, our two best performances in December were the first half against Wolves and the Brighton game. And I think the two common themes in that first half against Wolves and in the Brighton game was it was the speed of everything. Like the way we pressed, the way we progressed the ball through the phases. And one thing I said earlier in the season when everyone was talking about like, yes, this new controlled style was, I still think the tempo is too slow. And I think a lot of people, like, and I do think it was by design. I think a lot of them were told to kind of wait for the opposition to settle and then pick your passes and stuff. But I saw a huge shift in the Wolves and the Brighton games. And I can't really figure out why that was the case for those two games, and then it's reverted back to type. And I can only put it down to fatigue. Like, I'd be really interested to see. I think the FA Cup game is a bit of like a free hit. I'm not going to take too much out of that personally,
I
but
have a feeling
I'm
Liverpool will rotate their hell out of that team because
same.
they've
And I
got
think,
two semi-finals as well, right, for the Carabao Cup.
yeah, and I think we'll go full strength. But I'm more looking forward to seeing when we play Palace on the 20th, which that's a long rest, how we come back to that game, because I would be very surprised after a rest and Arteta analysing this whole half season so far if we come back to that game at home and
Mm.
it's slower tempo, it's side to side passing, no through the lines punching. I think that game when we come against Palace, we're going to come back and play like how we did against Wolves and Brighton and be electric. So I'm putting it down to fatigue, to be honest. But if I'm wrong, then that's concerning.
You know, I do think it was fatigue, but I also feel that the kind of we got the selection wrong, the tactics may be wrong, the
You
subs
said the
wrong.
subs
Like,
as well, right?
yeah, the subs I think were really where we went wrong. In terms of the first half, I would say it felt fair reflection going in at 1-1 because
Okay.
to be fair to them, like even after we scored, you see there's these little bumps. It
Yeah.
did their goal did wake us up a little bit in this cumulative XG you can see in the yellow line. So
Yep.
we did actually have a few more chances after that. So for the final 5 minutes of the half, we did create a chance for ourselves. There was like a really nice movement with I think it was Saka, Rice, and Odegaard, and then it ended up with Martinelli on his side taking a shot, but it was like a
Okay.
fraction wide of the top right corner from Leno. So he kind
Sure.
of like had a really nice curled ball, and it just needed a little bit more direction on it, and it would have been 2-1 back to Arsenal. But it was when they came out from half time. I think that's when it changed. So that's when it was quite intense because they just started piling on the pressure.
As
And
in Fulham did, yeah?
yeah. And then about the hour mark, they went ahead. They started to take quite a few corners. They were like
Okay.
winning. That's where the pressure, I think the pressure started to really get to us when they started winning corners. So you can see that just after half time, their green blip goes up once. That's like
Yeah.
they start getting the corners. I think that's around then. And Willian just swung one into the back post from the
I heard
corner.
he was
Yeah,
unbelievable.
he was playing well. Of course, Mavropanos the week before, Willian on the corner.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the Cordova, I always forget to say it. De Cordova-Reid, yeah,
Yep.
De Cordova-Reid. Yeah, he just smashed it in from close range, really. But it was
That looked
just
like
the
such a
mood was
kerfuffle as well.
bad, man. And the thing is, it was just starting to like piss it down as well. So that's something else I've seen. Like these last few games, like we just can't play fast even if we want to. Like I don't want to blame weather and all that, but like clearly we don't seem to have like an alternate route from pass really fast with technical gifted football. Like we don't have that Liverpool like boot the fucking ball up the pitch and
Yeah, just
blow down
overwhelm
the
them.
pitch. Yeah,
Yeah.
just overwhelm them with sheer numbers and force and strength. Like I think
Yeah.
we have a big, strong, athletic squad,
We
and
do,
I'm
yeah.
not sure we utilize them all the time in the same way. I do think we're missing parties passes. We talked about the line breaking passes, but I think Rice still gets us forward. Just perhaps more, he carries the ball more.
Yeah.
And I saw a stat which kind of dispels what the narrative in the, I guess, the rivals is anyway, which is that Declan Rice apparently only passes backwards and sideways. He has made the most progressive passes in Europe's top five
I saw
leagues.
that, yeah.
So I was like, it's funny how sometimes like what you hear or read versus what your eyes tell you, they can be so different. Lots of people have been moaning. I've seen people saying we bought Rice to replace Partey or a worse team. Some people are blaming Wright for our lack of goals right now, saying he's the reason we're getting the ball forward too slow. Like I'm seeing wild takes out there
If you
these days,
take him
bro.
out of this team defensively, I don't know
We'd be
what will
bloody
happen.
tense if we take him out. Forget trying to do a
Yeah.
title challenge. Like, yeah, so it's just really sad. Because then, yeah, once they scored, I think after that, you can see in the XG side of things,
Maybe it's just
we didn't
flat.
really do much. Yeah, we just
Yeah.
kind of flatlined until the end of the game. They
I
almost
think
got a third.
my biggest thing as well, like statistically, is I think this is the first game I'm looking at from a stats lens where even the expected threat, we're just way behind the mark, like throughout the whole game. I don't think I've seen that since like, well, over the last couple of years, to be honest.
Yeah, no, that's true. Our expected threat is less than theirs, and our XG is less than theirs. Like I think it
Because
kind of says it
usually
all.
the threat, we're like probing, we're constantly probing, but it just adds up with what you said. Like it just never felt like we were in control to do anything.
In terms of like some interesting stats, I guess these are from actually Arsenal.com itself. So this
Okay.
was the first Premier League game where we scored the opening goal and failed to win since New Year's Day 2022 against Man City. That
Oh
game where
wow.
we thought we were really good
Yeah.
2 years ago in January on New Year's Day when we outplayed them. Arteta was at home with
Yeah.
COVID or something.
Gabriel red card.
Yeah, and then the last minute
Rodri
penalty for
last
Rodri
minute.
who didn't get sent off. Yeah, so that was that's pretty painful. So that actually ended our run of 48 league games unbeaten when 1-0 ahead.
Oh wow.
So this was like a bad moment for us. Like it really brought us crashing down to earth.
Like you said
Um,
earlier though, it's best to have this now. Like when
yeah. I'd rather
like,
this happening now than in March, April, May, and you're collapsing when it
because
really matters.
you know how teams like City and Liverpool of the last 3, 4 years, they always go on these stretches of winning runs, right? I think we're capable of that. I really do. And I think if you add in I don't know when Timber's due back, but if he comes in around crunch time, Party, get him back, get Tomiyasu back. If we can strengthen in January, I don't know how we'll do it, but if we can, then I think suddenly we've got because I still believe, like I know in the context of a title race, this isn't great. Like we're now relying on phenomenal teams like Liverpool and City slipping up. But I think this is a season where there will be more slip ups. I don't think it's done at all. And I think this group, if we can get a group fit, I think the versatility of options we've got when everyone is fit, I think it's capable of going on a long winning run. I really do. So I'm not as trying to think what the word I'm looking for is. I'm not as like doom and gloom as everyone. I'm upset. I'm really upset because, like you said earlier, after Anfield, it's like that was a good point. Go on, get the 6 points at West Ham and Fulham to go into the new year, and that didn't quite materialise. But I don't think it's done. I think it's unlikely, perhaps, to go on and win
I
the
think
league,
the
but
odds
I
have
don't think it's
gone
done.
down. So, like when I looked at the spread betting market odds, we very quickly have fallen off a cliff. So we're still third in the market odds, but Man City are like clear favourites for the
Yeah.
first time this season. They're back
Oh,
to
are
like
they more
they're
than
like
Liverpool?
over 50%, I think.
Okay.
And Liverpool are like clearly their rival in the odds. They're like 29%, and then we're like down there with like, oh yeah, there's like around 15% chance, like.
Football changes so
But that's
quickly.
the
Like
thing. So it has
there
us
would
all
be
on the
not
same.
many there wouldn't
Yeah,
be
yeah.
many people that predicted Arsenal would
So
go
this is
and
what I
win
mean. So if
against
you
West
looked
Ham
at
or
it
Fulham.
before those two losses and before Man City turned up, if you looked at it, City were dying in the spread market odds 3 weeks ago. So they've gone from like 3 weeks ago, people saying City are not the same City of old, and they've won the treble. They don't have the energy anymore. And 3 games later, they're like clear favorites. So as you say, literally it takes 2 free match days, 2 free weekends, and everything could change. Now the
Yeah,
other thing is we are going to play Liverpool at the Emirates in the league in about a month.
it's a few weeks' time. Yeah,
Now, if we can make sure that we do what we need to do there, that
that
immediately is a
changes everything.
big change, right? So
Yeah,
we need to just get our A game out. We need to, I think, as you say, this kind of break, this lull in Premier League football with like 2 games in a month rather than 8 games in a month in December. We need this break. I think we need
yeah.
to reset. We need them to rejuvenate. We need some people to come back from injury. I think we can maybe get some loans in January. It sounds like that's the full extent of what we can get. There's people hoping we can get like a striker,
It made me laugh. It's
another
like we've got two
defender.
left backs on loan, and we're looking to loan a left back.
Yeah, I see. We're also looking at, I think we might be trying to buy one too. We're looking at the
Okay,
Fenerbahce one. There's Fenerbahce left back we're looking at. And he
okay.
plays like left wing back, right wing back, like left wing, right wing, like super versatile, 24 years old. I think we just need numbers. I think
I
Timber's
I
injury is much worse than we thought.
Yeah, I think defender obviously, but I've said this for a long time. I think we are so light in the forward group. Like I said this last summer. Like I do not think what we've got as an attack is good enough. Like
And we've
outside of
tried
the
to
front.
strengthen, right? We just don't. Like we've tried to get big, big money targets there. Like we tried for Vlahovic. We tried for Pedro Neto. There are players we have
Rafinha a
tried
couple
for.
of years ago.
Rafinha, yeah, and we never quite got that extra attacker. In terms of attackers, I know we got Trossard in January, more of a squad option, I guess.
I
He
think
can't play the
Trossard.
Martinelli role, but
No,
he's definitely my first sub on in most
yeah,
games.
like Trossard for me. If our attack group is built properly, I think we'll all be looking Trossard as a very, very valuable asset. We're looking at him at the minute because we're so light and we need more from him. But if we could use him like how Liverpool used Diogo Jota and use him in periods, have him as a first sub off the bench, because Trossard as an impact sub, I think he's always really good. Well, okay, not always, but
Well, he
most of
was
the time.
really good, I think, last season. He's kind of flattered to deceive me this season. Like, I'm a big fan of him, but I just feel that it's what you said, right? You look at the likes of kind of City, right? You're looking at what players like Haaland, Alvarez, Grealish, Foden, Doku. You look at
That's what we need
Liverpool,
to get
you're
to,
looking
yeah.
at Salah, you're looking at Darwin Núñez, you're looking at Luis Diaz, you're looking at Gakpo, you're looking
Yeah.
at Jota. Then you look at us, it's like Saka, Martinelli, Jesus. There is no
Uh,
one else I would want to even be in that front three.
yeah,
For those
literally.
two teams, yeah, they have the superstars in Haaland and Salah, which we do not have as well, I would say. Like how Son or Kane were at Spurs. Like, we don't. Okay, I think this is what I'm going to conclude it here. We don't have a player that on their own can just single handedly win you the game, no matter how shite the rest of the team are that day. We don't have someone who is that level of world class and experience that I remember back in the day when Spurs were struggling to win games and Bale would just pop one in from like
Yeah.
40 yards open play, just smash it into the net, and then they just get another 3 points yet again. It almost felt inevitable.
Yeah.
We just don't have that. And that is
Yeah.
where I think people are lusting for the likes of an Osimhen or a Tony or big money striker, someone new to come in and rejuvenate that front
Well,
line,
that's
right?
that's the next that's the next level, right? And to put it all in context, like Arteta and Edu speak about their I think it's a 5-step plan all the time, right?
Mm.
And they say we're ahead of schedule, and you can tell like step 5 is to go and have that kind of Declan Rice-esque attacking signing. And we've just arrived at the top table quicker than I thought they planned for.
I'm
So I
happy
think
that
that
we've managed to put, like, as long as we don't capitulate from here, I'm glad that we managed to put 2 successive title runs in place. Like, just to go from where we were to being able to, from fifth to 2 successive back-to-back title runs, I think that's quite good as long as we don't completely flop it now. I
I
don't
don't think
think
it's
top
done at
4 is a
all.
problem. Yeah, I don't think it's done. I think the rest will help us.
I
There's
still
been a lot of
I
interesting
think
movement, though.
go on.
I was going to say, there's been a lot of interesting movement because, again, it's that whole thing about who do we get now then? Because who can you actually bring in if you're saying that we can only do loans? Like,
You
we're not
know
going to
me,
buy anyone.
I never stress about these things because I think
You're looking more for profiles, right?
yeah,
Rather
but not
than
even that. Just there are so many ways of getting things done that like none of us would have pictured we get David Raya in on loan and stuff like that. None of us would have pictured
true.
we got Jorginho Trossard when we did. Like I think that
So the one I've heard, which I would love to be true, I'd love this to be true because I think we could get him for a great price right now, is Amadou Onana from Everton as another midfield option.
see
I
I'm
would take him right now just to strengthen that midfield because you got to look at this, right? 3 seasons in a row before this season, we have not met our season target due to an injury crisis going
yeah,
into the run-in. Who was the players who mostly fucked it injury-wise those times?
Party,
Tierney and
Tierney,
Party,
yeah.
and probably like one of the attackers like Jesus or Mate. There was always someone fucked, right? So I look at that and I think, so if Rice got injured, do you genuinely trust going into the rest of the half of the season with Party being fit for the remainder with El Neni and Jorginho behind him? Probably not.
Uh,
So that leads me to really want a central midfielder personally, because that
yeah,
terrifies me. The
I
thought
think
of an injury-prone Party with El Neni and Jorginho behind him. If Rice gets crocked, I don't know what we would do. I'll be real with you.
yeah, I don't know. I don't think that's as much of a priority as getting a defender and attacker person because I don't think you can. I don't think when you're squad planning, you plan on the possibility that Rice gets injured or something like that. I think it's more like overall as a group, what variety do you have? And I think where we're lacking for me is defense and attack. Like midfield, I
I think
think we
we
can
only
get
have
by.
5 attackers for 4 places now that the tournaments are starting, right? So with AFCON and Asian Cup, with our kind of Tomiyasu leaving, Timber injured, we have 5 defenders. We basically have the starting 4 plus Kivio.
Literally, yeah.
That is our entire back line. Like, you can't do a half a season with those 4 defenders and Kivio. Like, we do
And
need a defender. And I think people are
I think we'll get
hesitant.
one.
They're like, why are we getting a defender? Why is that our priority? We should get
Ah,
an attacker. But you can't get a great striker easily in January. Like, why would these clubs sell them to us, right?
yeah.
Like, I saw people wanting that Boniface as well. Why would he leave Leverkusen while they're leading the Bundesliga halfway through a season? Like, the
Too many people
delusion is
play
real.
FIFA, yeah.
People wanted Watkins, people wanted Solanke, people wanted Osman. Like, I want them all too, but who the fuck is going to sell these guys to you in
I'm
January?
confident we will get. I don't know who they'll be or what type of contract, but I'm confident we'll get a defender and an attacker. I don't know if it'll be a centre
I'd love
forward
to
or a
get
winger,
both. I would
but
love to get both. Do
I
you
think we
is
will.
okay? So how about this? If you had to sell one of the Haylen kids to fund that, and they were sold this January, out of these ones, who would it be? Would it be
I don't care.
Eddie, Nelson, Smith Rowe? You just don't care.
I don't care. If the manager deems them not good enough, I trust him. Like I am not wedded to any of them, even Smith Rowe. Like
So
he
he's the
has.
one I'd most like to still just have one last chance to see more of. But the others, I'd be happy for them all to go.
Yeah,
I
I'd
don't
agree
want
with that.
them to go. I don't want them to go.
Yeah,
But if that's the only way we strengthen where we need, I do not want us to hold on to players the manager will not start. We just
yeah,
said Nelson has literally not started in 3 years. He's fit. He won't start games. What? Why? Like, I know we want to protect their value, but why? Like,
yeah.
just sell these guys and build up a bank balance. Just a quick shout out to a few of the guys in the chat. So Remy, thank you for tuning in. He says Regulion is available. I don't know about available. I know he's gone back to Spurs. I don't know if that's because they need him due to the kind of the injuries in the back line they have. It's funny, right? Because last Premier League game, they had 4 fullbacks in their back line, and we had 4 centre backs in our back line.
Yeah, so I need a couple of
It's like,
trades.
oh man, it's some good times. Fella as well. Good to see you, Dan, buddy. He
Oh, mate.
says the fight for a number 9 is going to be mad this month and summer. So many teams need one. This is very true. He wants to swap Smith Rowe for Antonio. I don't know if I want to be buying an Antonio. I'm sorry, buddy.
Yeah, after we just spoke about injuries, I'm not sure that.
Yeah, I think I would take Rasmus Højlund far more than Antonio. Like, I'd rather a young prospect that you blood into the Premier League than Antonio, who has been great over the years. I'll never forget him for my 4-goal captaincy against Norwich in FPL.
Nice.
One of the highlights of my FPL career in the last decade. But his time is done. I'm good. I do not want Antonio.
Any more
Yeah, I was
on
gonna say
Fulham?
anything else for Fulham, or should we move on to anything about it? I guess there's a few more stats actually. I'll give you some more stats from Arsenal.com about this game. So just it's a bit more damning still. So not only was it the end of our 48 league game unbeaten run when 1-0 ahead, it was also Fulham's first win in a Premier League game that they've fallen behind in since October 2022 against Leeds. So it's a 26 game winless run when they fall behind. When they fall behind, they lost 22 and drew 4, but beat us. So that was fucking
Arsenal.
painful. Yeah, that was painful. They also ended their 11-game winless run against Arsenal in the Prem since January 2012.
Why are you reading this out?
I just want to make sure that all the pain gets out of the system now, and then like from Liverpool onwards on Sunday, it's all good. Here's a more positive one to round off.
Fetish for pain, boy.
It's why I play FPL, man. I'm a glutton for punishment. So Bukayo Saka scored his 10th London Derby goal in the Premier League. Only Harry Kane with 15 has ever scored more London Derby goals while aged 22 or younger. So no other 22 or younger player in the Prem has more kind of London Derby goals than Saka and Kane. But yeah, going on to this. So obviously we have Liverpool. Then we have a bit of a break till Saturday, January 20th, where we play Palace at home. So you would think that's a prime fixture for us. Unfortunate news for Palace. Elise's hamstring seems to be injured. I know he's just come back as well from a long, potential 6-month injury, I think it was. So that's really upsetting to hear for the young man. I was really hoping he'd make it into the England squad for the Euros. Yeah. So hopefully he's not out for too long. But you would think that is where we begin our comeback in the Prem.
Yeah, I think they have to just come back to that game.
Surely, like by then, like we just sort ourselves out. So, what do you think about Liverpool then? Like, obviously, we think we're going to go for our strongest 11. We can't play a weak team when we've just lost 2 in a row. Liverpool, I think they will rotate because they have the 2 semi-final legs of the Carabao Cup. They don't have Salah either, right? Like, and Endo either. So, really, I feel like at home with those players missing for Liverpool, kind of feels like it's a must-win game for us. But equally, but the reason I say must-win is because just purely like, if we don't win and we also show our cards for how they can tactically beat us a month later in the Prem, then we're in trouble. So this is my thing: is like, do we go and play our full game, or do we hide a few cards under our sleeves for the Prem game against them?
I hear people say that stuff a lot. I don't think that makes a difference. I think the only time that ever makes a difference is if you're going to do something like, what Pep does in random games. He'll just come out with something like Bernardo at left back. But I don't think we're going to do that. I think teams now 90% know the way we play, but it's still hard to stop. So I don't think that makes a difference. I still think just go out there, play the full team. Like, this group of players needs to start winning trophies, right? And regardless, like 3 defeats on the bounce in any competition, that's awful. So we can't let that happen. So I think it'll be a case of go out, play the full team, try and win the game. And I think forget everything that's happened. Arteta will be wanting to win this competition anyway. So I think that
regardless of everything else, you're right.
Yeah,
he's not going to hamper himself by playing a weaker 11 so that they don't see his tactics for a month later. Like, everything
can change. 13 days after the Liverpool game to Palace. Like, he'll be going full strength. And it's not to prove a point or anything. It's not to bounce back. It's because he will want to win this competition.
He'll want to win this competition, yeah. You know what? I would say that obviously that cup win in the first 6 months, that's gone a long way in terms of credit in the bank. I think we're at the stage where I feel that personally, like, we need to go and win one of the major trophies now in the next 18 months. I feel like we've built like the platform for it. I'm not saying it has to be this season,
I'm
but
glad you
within the
said
next
18
season and
months
a
because
half, yeah.
yeah, because I reckon going back to their like 5-stage plan, whatever they called it in All or Nothing, I think I recall a lot of it was based on getting to the pinnacle in the 24-25 season, and that's what I talk about where we've arrived earlier than we thought. And of course, like it's there to go and win it this season. I still believe that, even though it's unlikely. I still think we have the ability to go on a run, and Liverpool and Man City will drop points when people least expect it as well. I really believe that. It's just up to us whether we have the bottle to go on and do it. Champions League, I think this is quite a weak competition. I
There's
don't
three
think.
teams I'm scared of, yeah.
Yeah,
And if they happen to get knocked out in earlier rounds,
yeah,
for
it's a
me, I think we
lottery.
said at the start of the season, right? I think I said that I would be disappointed if we didn't get to the quarterfinals. I think that was my kind of realistic take. Just because I think the last 6 or 7 times we were in the last 16, we got knocked out.
Yeah,
So, like, I really want this new era of returning to the Champions League. I'd like to think that we can do it against, it's Porto, isn't it, in
yeah, we
February?
got Porto. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'd like to think we can do it.
I think
But
it's
yeah,
just a case of like go in on Sunday, put the best team that's physically fit available out there, give a good performance, and then if you give a good performance then and you lose, then okay, it's unlucky. But like just put your best performance out there, go and beat Palace comfortably, and then try and put a little run together, get key players back, hopefully strengthen in January, and then set up for 2024 like like we have to just bounce back. I think you can't let these 2 defeats skew everything that you've worked towards.
yeah, 100%. I think just quick shout out as well to Combe. Good to see you, buddy. He's a big Fulham fan,
Oh, nice.
regular viewer of Net That Hall as well. So we always
Hey, mate.
it's been good recently
Congratulations
for
on the win.
Combe. Yeah, I was gonna say it's been good for him recently because it used to be that whoever Fulham were playing, we were talking about targeting Fulham, and then the data caught up, and it was like we were doing matchups where it's like, oh, actually, like you should be buying Fulham players for this game because Fulham were the one that look really good. So I think it's been a nice season for them. It's really lovely to see Jimenez. I think in the last
Yeah,
5 games or so, he has matched his Premier League goals in the 50 games prior to that. So he is well and truly back from where he was. Like he hadn't scored for a while after he recovered from that kind of severe head injury, as we know. And I'm just really happy to see him back in the Premier League and just that confidence is back because I think it was a
yeah,
mental thing as well. Like I'd be
100%.
scared in that situation to be contesting any ball or taking any shots when
Yeah, it
the
was when he
last time
scored that
something like
header.
that.
That was brilliant.
That was yeah. So it's so lovely to see him back, and it's nice to see Iwobi doing well there. And yeah, like obviously fair play to Fulham, and I hope you guys take points from lots of our opponents, and I
Yeah,
hope you screw Liverpool in the cup semi-final. Two-legged. Hopefully, with Salah out and Endo out, there's a chance you can nick something there. But yeah, unfortunately, Colin, you missed the part where we did review the Fulham game, and we basically said that you deserved to win, and we were outplayed, and that we just weren't good enough. So against West Ham, at least we were like, yeah, we deserve to win. We screwed it. Against you guys, I genuinely felt like
did
you
Dan
guys
did
just
Dan
played better
agree
than
with
us.
that
I don't
FPL
know.
thing?
Yeah. It'll be interesting to know what he thinks. It's funny because when we were going to do the preview, obviously we didn't manage to do it. But Dan's first response to me was, "I need to have a think about what to say beyond you're going to batter us."
Oh,
So
really?
before the match happened, he was like, "I need to come up with something more tactical than Arsenal are going to batter West Ham." So turns out we were all wrong with our prediction of that game. But yeah, thank you guys. Oh yeah, so Colm says yeah, Liverpool's semi-finals 3 days after they play us in this cup. So and we have that 13-day race. So I really hope we can start the year positively, man. And then I'm excited to be back, obviously, to discuss the Crystal Palace preview when we get
Yep.
there. And hopefully by then we've seen some movement in the transfer window. We can have a think less hypothetically about incomings and outgoings
Yeah.
and how we think the rest of the season will go. But otherwise,
And
it's
in
been
the
good to see you,
meantime,
Clayton. Yeah.
if all goes to plan, there will be a new content stream from us coming out in between. So yeah, keep your eyes peeled for that. Trying to work with a few people to get that going. And yeah, I'm sure I'll do the odd random bits like after Liverpool and stuff. But yeah, the two of us will be back together to preview the Palace game. But the channel will hopefully still be active with a few other people. So keep your eyes peeled.
Nice one. Cheers, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. If you enjoyed the episode, please do hit that like button and subscribe. Big thank you as well to all our new subscribers in December. We just snuck into
Thank you.
200, right? Yeah, amazing, guys. That was our kind of milestone for 2023, and we were very pleased to see on New Year's Eve that we got the 200th subscriber. So lots of cause for celebration
Thanks a
going
lot,
into
everyone.
2024. Have a lovely 2024, guys. In the meantime, up the Arsenal. Come on, you Gunners, and we will see you next time.
Up the Arsenal.
Come on, you Gunners.